Hi, my name is Andrea Lawrence. I have a Bachelor's of Science in Computer Information Systems from Bellarmine University, and I currently work as a senior software engineer focusing on cloud technologies. I have over 10 years of experience in the IT industry, and I'm here to tell you about how to interview for your next internship. Other than my regular responsibilities, I've been a college recruiter for over 5 years. As a recruiter, I'm attending your campus career fairs and meeting students face to face to determine who could be a potential candidate for our internships. Along with the meet and greets, I'm also usually interviewing those candidates and fulfilling the interview process and then determining who we are actually going to offer internships to. So I'm very involved with the interview process, specifically at a college level. I've interviewed several students, and I've been in those shoes before where I've actually been the interviewee. The first things I'm looking for in a candidate is, are you passionate about technology or whatever subject it is that you're studying? Is this more than just a degree to you? This is something that you actually are passionate and have an interest in, even outside of the classroom. So for computer science or computers and technology, I want to know, what do you do tech wise outside of the classroom? What interest do you have in tech outside of the classroom? Are you building computers? Are you programming things? What is it that shows your interest outside of what your curriculum is? And in that way, that passion is what I'm looking for in somebody. Something else I'm looking for, especially with the tech side, is logical reasoning. It's a skill set that is not easy to find, but it's also a skill set that can't be taught. So, do you have the ability to logically reason through a problem and find a solution to a problem that's given to you, and not just sit and ask someone else or try and rely on others? Obviously, we want you to get help from others, but I really want to see that you're able to sort of walk through the steps of what you would do in order to solve a problem that I'm giving you. And then the last is that, just ambition. Are you ambitious? Are you driven? Are you determined? Because the technology world is constantly changing, and I'm going to need somebody who is ambitious and determined to learn what they don't know, as well as admit what it is that they don't know, but also just have that willingness to learn. It's always changing, there's always new things. Technology is constantly evolving, so you have to be willing to learn in order to keep up with the industry. When preparing for an interview, there are some things that will really help you be ahead of the other candidates and help with your nerves that you might have. The first step, research the company before your interview. You're going to know what company you're interviewing for, so do a little research as far as what the company does. What are their values? What are the key things that they are currently working on? Is there anything about that company in the news currently? Then that shows that you know what company you're working for or interviewing for, and you know what kind of work you might be doing, as well as what the company stands for. The next step is all about your resume. Cut the fluff from your resume. Really focus on the skills and what your experience is. Anything that is common, such as Microsoft Word or Excel, you can cut that fluff out. It's not necessary. Almost every student is going to have that skill, and so it really doesn't help set you apart from the others. And it will take up real estate on your resume itself. Then have someone proofread your resume, either a college advisor or a parent or even a mentor. Have someone proofread it to see if something should be rearranged or reworded. Once you have your resume proofread, make sure to print copies and bring copies with you to your interview. Although a lot of times interviewers may have your resume with them, I always think it's a good idea to bring a copy yourself, just in case. And you never know if they have your resume on hand or if they can't find it. It's just better to be safe than sorry. After your resume, Have someone do a mock interview with you. This could be a college advisor again, or a mentor, another career professional that you happen to know. Sit down with that person and ask them if they'll do a mock interview with you. You can even record your interview so that you can play it back and see what you've learned. This, you can kind of see how is it you're going to answer questions. How will you answer, how will you position yourself? What's your body language like? Are you struggling to answer questions? Are you using a lot of filler words like and Are you moving too much? Are you speaking clearly? Do you need to improve your enunciation? Any kind of tips and tricks you can find out ahead of time. And then also, if you've already practiced questions in a mock interview and know what you would answer, then when you're actually asked that same question in an interview, it can be a lot less stressful because you've already practiced answering this before. Then also, when researching a company and preparing for the interview, come up with at least one question to ask either at the beginning or the end of your interview. There are plenty of examples online of types of questions you can ask during an interview, but really this shows engagement and that you are serious about the interview itself. You've researched the company and you have found other information and would like to know more. This shows that you're engaged and you're going to show as having more interest than, say, your competitors who are also interviewing for the same position. And as I said, there's tons of resources online as far as what types of questions you can ask or not ask, as well as even resources for reviewing your resume. A lot of times college campuses will also have a career center or some type of department that will help you prepare for jobs or career opportunities. It's a great department to reach out to. I used it when I was in school for resume reviews and then also just to find jobs and interviews. So definitely look into that. And it's probably the biggest tips I have on how to prepare for your interview. When it comes to college interviews, I have a couple tips that I will give any student going through college interviews or internships. Those tips are: pause and take time to answer. If you're asked a question and you don't immediately know of an answer, or you're kind of juggling thoughts on how you want to answer the question, instead of immediately starting to answer, take time, pause, and gather your thoughts before you answer the question. To you, it can seem like a long time. Maybe a whole minute has gone by of you not answering, but I guarantee you it's only a couple seconds. And as an interviewer, I would much rather you take the time to gather your thoughts and answer than to try and piece together thoughts as you're thinking of them that are hard for me to follow. By taking the time to answer, not only are you going to have a more confident answer and more put together, but it's also going to help eliminate any filler words such as or Next, it's okay if you don't know something. If you're asked a question regarding a specific skill set or experience and you don't know the answer or know that skill, it's okay that you don't know it. Admit that you don't know it. And instead of just admitting it, be willing to learn that skill. I'd much rather you tell me you don't know something, but that you're willing to learn that skill set than to lie in your interview, have me hire you, and then I find out later on the job that you don't know the skills you claimed to. So if you don't know a particular skill, it's best to admit that you don't know, but you're willing to learn whatever it takes in order to complete the job. It's okay not to have work experience. We all know college kids may not have a ton of work experience, whether it be you're looking for your first internship or you're looking for your second, third internship. You're not going to have years of experience under your belt, but there are ways to tie what experience you do have into ways to answer questions. So when you are asked questions such as, tell me about a time when, you can easily come up with answers regarding either, say, classwork or clubs or extracurriculars that you do that are somehow relevant to the question is that they're asking. When they ask these type of questions, it's not to find out what your work experience is. It's to see, do you understand the question? And are you capable of answering that question with an answer that is relevant to what I'm looking for? So if they're asking, tell me about a time that you had conflict, you could talk about a class project where you didn't get along with someone on the project and how you resolved it. It's not work experience, but it technically counts and answers the question that they're looking for. The last tip I have is don't be afraid to be yourself. It seemed kind of obvious, but you will feel so much more comfortable and relaxed if you just be yourself and stay true to yourself. Yes, you want to be professional, but you also want to be you. And I want to see your personality when I'm interviewing with you. I don't want to see a robot who just answers questions as though they're reading from a script. Let me see a little bit of who you really are. If you have a unique hobby or skill that's relevant to the interview or questions that are being asked of you, mention it. You will be more comfortable in your answers if you're talking about something you love and are interested in, and you'll also stand out amongst the other candidates. So, for example, I've competed in pageants for several years, and a lot of people kind of misjudge and assume stereotypes because of pageants and what pageants appear to be. But I always come back and say, if what pageants have taught me is that I am capable of sitting in a room of complete strangers and keeping my composure, but also performing a very well-rounded interview and answering very difficult questions on the spot. That is a skill set that pageants have taught me that I've not learned anywhere else in the real world. So find a hobby or something unique about you that at the end of the day, when all the interviews are over and an interview has 10, 15 candidates that they have to go through, they're going to remember you for that particular skill set or hobby that you mentioned. Something that makes you stand out. And those are the best tips I have.